Welcome to Truth Uncovered, where ancient wisdom meets modern psychology to help you master yourself and the world around you. In today's video, we're peeling back the layers of one of the most underestimated forces in masculine energy, silence. But not just any silence. We're talking about the kind of silence that haunts her, the kind that lingers long after you're gone, the kind of silence that turns distance into power and calm into seduction. This isn't about ghost. It isn't manipulation. This is psychological gravity, darker, colder silence that doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't beg. It demands to be felt. In this video, I'll break down 10 powerful reasons why this silent presence makes her not just miss you, but become obsessed with the space you leave behind. We'll go deep into the Stoic psychology behind emotional control, inner restraint, and why the less you speak, the more she thinks about you. Let's begin. Point 1. The power of not explaining yourself. The first layer of the dark silence begins when you stop doing what most men do, over-explaining, when you stop trying to justify your thoughts, defend your emotions, or constantly decode your intentions. Something powerful happens. The noise dies. The silence speaks. Here's the hard truth. When you're always explaining yourself, you're unconsciously telling her, your opinion of me is more important than my opinion of myself. Let that sink in. You're trying to micromanage her perception. You're scrambling to keep the connection smooth. But in doing that, you kill what she needs most to feel attraction, mystery. A man who doesn't explain himself gives off a quiet strength. It tells her, I know who I am, and I don't need to convince you. That is power. She sends you a confusing message, expecting a paragraph. But this time you respond with, okay, or even nothing at all. And just like that, she's thrown off. She starts wondering, did he lose interest? Why isn't he reacting? Did I go too far? Your silence becomes a canvas on which she paints her own emotions. Her mind fills in the blanks. And unlike words, silence doesn't expire, it lingers. This isn't detachment, it's self-command. It's emotional discipline that Stoic men have trained for centuries to master. Point 2. The mystery of emotional distance. Most men crumble when a woman pulls away, but not you. You don't chase. You don't plead. You lean into your own stillness. That emotional distance. It's not coldness, it's mystery. You remain calm, composed, centered. You're not reactive, you're reflective. This disrupts her expectations. She's used to men fighting for her attention, but now you're not giving her access to your emotional center, and that unsettles her. Here's the secret. When she can't predict your emotions, she starts obsessing over them. A Stoic man lives by his inner code, not her mood swings. He observes without being pulled into every wave of drama. You don't try to prove your love. You don't explain your every move. And in that emotional restraint, you create the deepest form of intrigue. She doesn't know where she stands. That makes her lean in harder, because the more you hold your frame, the more she breaks hers. 3. Silence after disrespect isn't revenge. It's self-respect. The third layer of the dark silence. When you go quiet, not out of spite, but out of self-worth. She disrespects you. Maybe it's a jab. Maybe it's passive aggression. Maybe she tests your boundaries. And instead of shouting, explaining, or reacting emotionally, you simply withdraw. Not to hurt her, but to protect you. This is where silence transforms into dignity. Most men get loud when disrespected. You get silent. Not because you're weak, but because you're done engaging in things that threaten your peace. She expects drama. Instead, you give her distance, and that distance feels like thunder. She replays what she did. She starts to question herself. Because here's what your silence says louder than any words. I don't explain my worth. I walk away from what doesn't honor it. That is the silence of a man who values himself. Not a game, but a standard. And in a world where most men beg to be heard, the one who chooses stillness becomes unforgettable. For you're hard to read, and that's why she can't let go you. Don't open up like a book. You don't wear your heart on your sleeve. And because of that, she starts trying to decode you. Let me explain why this is so effective. Uncertainty activates the imagination, and the imagination is more powerful than what? Anything you could say. She can't figure you out. And so her mind replays every interaction, every word, every silence. She wonders, did he mean what he said? Was he holding back? What is he thinking now? That confusion, that mental loop, becomes addictive. While other men reveal everything, you remain grounded, composed, minimal. And that contrast makes your silence louder, because silence from a man who is disciplined is not emptiness, it's depth. 5. Your presence is stronger in your absence. Here's a truth most men never realize: the less available you become, the more she feels you. When you stop being the man who always shows up, always replies, always reassures, your absence becomes more powerful than your presence ever was. Now, she feels the silence. She scrolls through your texts, hearing your voice in the gaps. She thinks of you not when you're there, but when you're not. Why? Because you're not trying to remind her of your value. You simply were valuable. And now that space echoes with what she no longer has. A Stoic man doesn't disappear to cause pain. He simply stops pouring into places where his peace isn't honored. 6. You become the standard she can't replace. She meets other men. Some are fun, some are good-looking, some are charming, but none feel like you. Why? Because they're trying too hard. They overshare. They react emotionally. They seek validation. And now she knows what that feels like. Because you gave her the opposite. You gave her stillness. You gave her discipline. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't chase. You didn't beg. You simply stood in your own presence, and now every man is silently compared to you. They talk more, but say less. They give more, but feel less. They try harder, but lack depth. And so she keeps searching, not just for a man, but for a feeling. The feeling she had when she was around you, continued in next message. ... Closing parenthesis, continued. 7. Your silence forces her to reflect here. Something you need to understand on a psychological level. Silence doesn't just make her miss you. It makes her confront herself when you're not explaining, not reacting, not chasing. She has no one to blame but her own thoughts. And that's where the magic happens. She starts asking questions. Did I say too much? Was I too cold? Why did he pull away? Instead of looking outward for validation. Now she's the one feeling unbalanced. And what caused it? Silence? You didn't argue. You didn't correct her. You didn't try to control the outcome. You simply left space. And in that space, she meets herself, and often she doesn't like what she sees. That realization, that self-confrontation, it plants the seed of longing, because now she's not just thinking about you, she's questioning everything she said. It's everything she did. And you didn't say a word. 8. You hold your frame and she falls into hers. Most men break under female emotional pressure. They get reactive. They apologize unnecessarily. They try to fix things that weren't even broken. But you hold the frame. You know who you are. You don't argue for your identity. You let your actions speak. That calm consistency becomes a force field around your masculinity, and a woman consciously or unconsciously feels safest in the presence of a man who doesn't waver. The stronger your silence, the more clearly she hears herself. Your refusal to break character forces her to reevaluate hers. This is masculine polarity. It's not aggression. It's anchored stillness. It makes her feel something most men can't offer: structure. And that structure becomes addictive. Because while charm can attract her, stability is what makes her stay. 9. You create longing. It's not just missing. Here's a secret most dating coaches will never tell you. Missing you is a surface-level emotion. But longing for you lives in the subconscious. Missing someone is about absence. Longing for someone is about what they awakened in you. And when you embrace the dark silence, you don't just disappear. You disappear with dignity. You disappear with mystery. You're not gone because you're weak. You're gone because you know your worth. That's when she doesn't just miss the man. She starts to miss the version of herself she was around him. She misses how you made her feel safe. Curious, feminine, respected, challenged, and no amount of texting, calling, or explaining could recreate that energy. Because your silence wasn't a pause, it was a statement. And now she feels the echo of it. Everywhere taught 10, you're no longer a participant. You're a standard here. The final evolution of your silence. You're no longer competing. You're no longer proving. You're no longer even available in the same way. You've elevated your silence has matured into presence, into philosophy, into a lifestyle, and that version of you. That's not just a man. That's a standard. The type of man who doesn't show up to be chosen, but who chooses himself first. She sees it now. Not when you were around, but now. In your absence, in your stillness, in the echo you left behind. While other men keep making noise, you remain unshaken, and that silence? It haunts her because it wasn't. The words that made her feel something, it was the discipline behind the silence. It was the emotional gravity you carried. She might never say it. She may never admit it, but deep down, you've become the one she silently compares every man to. Not because you tried, but because you didn't. Closing message so if you've ever wondered, does she notice I've gone quiet? Does my silence even matter? The answer is yes, louder than you think. Your silence isn't absent side's presence amplified. It's the calm confidence of a man who doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. The man who doesn't chase love because he already is love, contained in strength. So next time you feel the urge to over-explain, over-defend, or over-invest, pause and let your silence do what noise never could. Make her feel the weight of what she lost. If this message struck something deep in you, drop your thoughts in the comments, or just type, "Dark silence is my power." And if you're new to Truth Uncovered, subscribe for more grounded, unfiltered psychology on power, masculinity, and the art of self-mastery. Until next time, stay silent, stay grounded, stay powerful.